Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Canal Sidings Model Railway Channel saga, and another update on North Grove. As you can see, there's been quite a lot of progress made since the last video. First of all, we have back scenes here and here, which are now painted. They're not finished, but they're well on the way. They've got a hint of blue at the top and white down towards the bottom. We've also got the wall in place, the retaining wall at the back. There's some detail been added down here, which we'll show you later. There's been some more detail added on and inside the shed. The piece of track that joins this shed to the pointwork way down here has now been added, and 37408 is actually sitting on that. I've got a couple of locos out to just fill the scene up a little bit and show you what's going on. So first of all, we'll zoom in a little bit and then I will show you what I've been doing in more detail. So first of all, you can see that we've got some more detail in and around the shed. In here we've got some a first aid post here. I don't know if you can see that, it's right round the corner. We've got some lockers, some tool chests, and as you go further down the shed there are more tool chests. There's a battery charging station, fire hoses and notice boards, which are not finished yet. I've got to build a few more, and there's none on this side of the shed which you can't see, but there probably will be in case the camera angle ever gets there. As you can see, I've put the buttresses on the end of this shed now, and I've also put them on the other end that you can't see in this shot. I have also been painting up the concrete, and I'll just move that loco out of the way for a minute. You can see that I've dirted the concrete up around the area of the fueling point to match Batman's fueling point base colour, but I've left the concrete much cleaner over the other side, which is the way it probably would have been. I do intend to weather it a little bit more along here, but I don't want it as dark as that. That is purely down to spilt oil, locos standing, etc. You can also see in this shot that there are some more signs. There are no smoking signs, there are danger warnings about hazard of pits, open pits. There are other signs telling you that only authorised personnel are allowed, and you can also see some signs on this end. There is a stop await instructions, the limited clearance signs, and also the open pits warning and the unauthorised personnel only warnings. So a fair amount of detail there. I've also started along here, now that I've got the two tracks in, to add a little bit of ground colour. That really is the first point, the first start. It won't look as brown as that when I'm finished. I shall put a lot more grey into it, and grass and all sorts of things where people don't walk, where it's just left unkempt and nobody is actually wearing it away. Okay, so I'll take you in a little bit further down the other end and show you some more of the detail that I've added. Right, now we're looking at the other end of the scene, down by the storage tanks, the fuel storage tanks, and as you can see I've added some detail along here, where these are supposed to be the pipes that are for discharging wagons to fill the tanks. Don't know how accurately I've portrayed them. I've seen various different shapes looking around Google Images and YouTube, but that'll do me. You simply connect a flexible pipe to here or here, turn the valve on, the other end of the pipe is on the wagon, and then electrical pumps take over, I would think, and pump along into that pipe and up into the tanks. What I've done is along here I have laid a piece of checkered plate. It's plastic checkered plate, but it's meant to represent steel checkered plate, and that covers a trench that is a concrete trench that runs all the way along from the red pipe all the way to the end here, and that is intended to show where the oil pipes are. And again, if I move that loco out of the way and I'll move the camera around a little bit, I can move it, and you can see that there is a continuation of the checker plate along here. It crosses over the track and goes in underneath this step, which is the end of the fueling point, and it's then assumed that it ends up at the bottom of this pipe here, which is where the fueling point, which is where the actual fuel comes out and goes to the locos. You can also see that we've got some more no smoking signs over here. There's a danger high voltage sign here, more no smoking here. The idea is that this now contains the switchgear for the pumps that are used to pump the oil in and out. So that might just be the master switch for other pump switches that are around. I haven't really worked that out. That's what it's meant to, that's what it's intended to show or to be. Not done much up this end. What I have got is, I'll just swing this again and tip it down a bit. This is a new acquisition which I just happened to pick up as an impulse buy on eBay. It's a Class 08 Bachmann version. There were plenty of blue ones around in my period, although none of them looked as clean as this. But this one was a bit of a bargain at 50 quid. The reason it was 50 quid is because it ticks when it's running along. It's not DCC fitted, it's DCC ready. It's a modern product, but it's got a tick. It could be a lot of things. It's probably something just catching, a sandpipe catching, or maybe something catching on the coupling rods as they turn around. I've not investigated it yet, but I have just simply verified that it does it. There are no steps at the back here because it's so new and so unused that they're still sealed in the detail pack. But at 50 quid I thought I can't go wrong for that. It was a Rails vault on eBay, and it was advertised at £59.99 or best offer. So I thought, well, I'll give them 50 quid for it. So I put a 50 quid offer in, fully expected them to reject it, and they accepted it within a couple of hours, so I was happy with that. Okay, we'll just tip up again and we'll have a look at the back scene. The back scene, as you may be able to see, has actually got a bluey colour at the top. I didn't want it too blue, possibly shows better over there, and running down into a much lighter blue and ultimately down the bottom into white. The blue that I used is just a Dulux match pot. It's this one, called First Dawn. First Dawn? I can't read it from, yes, that's what it's called, First Dawn. And they're £1.50 each, and that was the blue, and the white is purely Dulux sealing paint, brilliant white, that's all. I use it all over the place. The back seat isn't finished. I've got to do something about holding this up so it doesn't all move apart like that. I've got a piece of plastic to fit round the outside. This end piece here is always intended to be removable, and what I want to do, I'll just tip it down again a bit, what I want to be able to do is put a bit of back seam material somewhere on here, not quite sure where yet, that depicts the next industry along from the railway, and along this back here will be the security fence for the TMD. So that will mark the end of the TMD, and that will probably actually be fixed to the back scene, not to the board. I've also started again filling in around here with some more of the brown ground cover. It's gone down there and it runs down the side there. It isn't filled in behind in front of the wall yet because the wall is actually not fixed. It isn't finished. It's been primed in a light shade of grey followed by a dark shade of grey, and then to get a starting colour I've used another Dulux match pot, which is this one, which is deep fossil, which is just a sort of grey that I found. Looks okay as a starting point on the wall, and eventually that will be darkened down significantly, and that wall will show as a much dirtier affair, and also of course got to highlight the mortar lines, which I'll do in my usual way of running thin paint in. You may have noticed, I'll just bring it back and bring it around again, I'll come back in a sec. You may have noticed that this loco has surfaced again, the one that I resurrected from almost a write-off, when nothing worked on it and all the wiring was suspect, etc. And that is all working, and what I've decided to do is actually fit it with a sound decoder, and I'm going to try a Hornby TTS Class 31 decoder. Apparently the Hornby decoders can sound much better with a better speaker, so I'm going to try a few speakers that I've got in stock and see how well or badly they can do, and see what sound I can get out of it. I've decided that being able to buy Hornby TTS decoders for well, Hornby's price $39.99 for a sound decoder with a speaker, and being able to get them for as little as £35–36 from various suppliers, I decided that I've got to give it a try. I can't just write it off, ignore it and say it's rubbish. I have a sound decoder in a loco. It's not a diesel, it's the Duke of Gloucester 462 steam loco, and to be honest, the only thing I can fault on it really is the lack of synchronisation between the wheels turning and the chuffs coming from the sound decoder, and that is the price you pay for sound decoders which are cheap. Other than that, it does a good job. The sound isn't bad. It's almost as good as anything I've heard from any steam locomotive in the past. So on the basis that you can't scale sound, it's always going to feel wrong, I've decided to give Hornby's TTS diesel decoders a go, and the first one I've got is the Class 31. They're also going to do 47, what else are they going to do, 47, 56 I think, 60, 66 and 67. I think they're going to do those, and I know they have TTS versions of their 08 shunter and their Class 20, so let's hope that they prove as popular as they appear to go, as it appears they're going to be, and they bring out all of their TTS decoders as standalone products that we can buy, because I can save a lot of money if I do that. And let's face it, most of my locos are going to be either starting up, shutting down, or sitting there ticking over, and then a little bit of movement backwards and forwards in and out of the shed. They're not going to be pulling anything. I don't need the the diesel engine to notch up nicely or notch down nicely. I just need it to be fairly authentic at very low speeds. I'm quite impressed by 25 or so functions that they've got. The decoders have got the ability to drive lights and an aux output, an auxiliary function as well, which you can use for cab lights. And although they're not used on steam locos, so I didn't know that they had lights, I assume they didn't. Their downside is that they are short of some functions. They don't consist very well, but then I don't need that facility. I just really need the basic sounds. So I'm going to give it a go, and that may actually be a topic for the next video. I don't know whether it's going to be that one or whether it'll be a couple of videos time, but it will be this loco, and I already have the Class 31 TTS decoder. Okay, so that's where we are at this end of the layout and what we've been doing. If I just swing this round now again, sorry about the creaking, you can see up towards the other end of the layout. So far the wall only reaches just past where the double height porter cabin is going to go, which is here. The single height porter cabin then goes next to it, as you've seen before. I'll just move 37408 into the shed a little bit. The wall is not fixed down, so there are gaps underneath it at the moment, and for some reason it's bowed a little bit in that direction after I've painted it, but that's probably because it's just shrunk up or something. It's only a vac forming, I think. I showed you them before. It really is a pointer down. It really is just nothing, just vac formed plastic, and I've cut them down. Cutting them straight along the bottom I have found almost impossible because of the strange shape that they are, as you can see, and how thin they are. It just makes them very difficult to cut in a straight line. What I will do is I'll take that wall off and show you how I built it in a minute. But I'm just going to move you along a little bit further and talk about where we are at the other end of the layout. Okay, here we are down the other end of the layout. As you can see, we're now past the porter cabins. I've only completed making the wall up to here, but I'm reckoning that there will be two more arches, this one, and then from here will come out the wall, so the wall will come out and cross the track so that the locos disappear through, and I'm going to make that track that they cross out of one of these pieces. I shall just modify a piece somehow. Haven't worked out quite how I'm going to do it yet, but I've got two more pieces of this, and then once we've crossed the track, I'll just use this again, then we'll come to there. Just spin you around a bit further. This will run along here, along the side of the entrance road. I can't get it to stay there. The entrance road to the shed and right down to the end of the baseboard. But that end of the layout is for another day. So I'll just put that back up there for now. And what I'll do now is I'll take off the wall, the coloured piece of the wall, and just show you basically how I built it, because it doesn't actually sit flat against the back scene all the way along, and if I take you up a bit higher I might be able to show you that. Let me try. Well, hopefully you can see from this rather high angle shot that the wall is flat against the back scene here, but about here starts to curve away from it. You can see I can put my pointer down the back of it by the time I get here, and down here, and by the time we get to this end it's quite a long way from the wall, from the back scene. The idea of that was that we didn't have a super straight layout. I've always said I don't like layouts that run parallel with the edges like this. I much prefer the track to go in different directions and not follow the edges of the baseboard. Anyway, next clip I'll show you the construction of the wall. Okay, I've now lifted the wall out from behind all the scenery on the buildings so that you can now see its construction. As you can see, I've cut a wedge. I'll just spin you around a little bit, you'll see it's a wedge of foam which is just parallel. It has no batter to it, no lean to it of any kind, but it's designed such that it puts the top edge of the wall in the right place. Here is the top edge of the wall, so the bottom is over there, and it puts that in the right place. In order to get the batter to be right and to compensate for the extreme flexibility, what I did on the other side, and it's not elegant but it works, was I filled in the various wall shaped pieces. As you can see, these are the buttresses and these are the backs of the arches, and I filled them in with just different thickness pieces of foam to get the wall to sit at the right angle. And it's made it quite solid and strong. I mean, it will move in places, but it isn't too bad when you consider, just knock something down, if I move it along to the other end where there is no pointer down, where there's no big piece of foam, because it sits mostly at the back of the straight up against the back seam, the bottom is still pushed out by these extra pieces of foam, but as you can see it's extremely flexible down here until it's up against the back seam. So that's the construction of the wall. I'm just going to move it right out of the way before I drop it on the floor. Okay. Okay folks, that's about it for this video. All I've got left to say is thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, subscribe and you'll get notifications of new videos that I post. And if you like it, go back and look at some of my other videos, and I'll just pop up a couple of options for you at the end of the video. So hopefully I'll see you next time, and either we're going to be talking about the Class 31 and its sound, or I'm going to be doing some wiring on the layout, so that next time, or so that after the wiring's done, we can have the opportunity to actually run a loco or two up and down. So I'll see you all soon. Bye.